Omaha's news leader. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rob McCartney. As many of you know, I'm retiring at the end of the month. While I will miss reporting stories about our community from inside the studio and out, it's time for me to put down the proverbial pen and pick up some time with my family. But before I leave for good, folks here at KETV wanted to share some stories that have stuck with me over my 40-plus year career in journalism, and Julie Cornell will be here in a moment. We want to begin in 1985-86. That's where the major case shook the state. Investigators in Rouleau, Nebraska found a religious survivalist cult on a farm in Richardson County. Buried on that farm, two bodies, one of a 25-year-old man, the other a 5-year-old boy. The cult also had dozens of weapons. Former Newswatch 7 reporter Kevin Penrod filed this report.
There were truckloads of FBI agents searching the gently folded hills and dales near Rouleau last August. They found guns and bombs and the bodies of two people. It was on that day in August that a virtual Pandora's box of the unusual was opened to the people of Richardson County and to the people of the state of Nebraska. The arms and ammunition stockpiled by Michael Ryan and his followers were meant to be used someday during a great apocalyptic battle that Ryan was predicting. In northeastern Kansas, where Ryan's survivalist roots are buried deep, we were told what the Rouleau encampment served as. These men had been there.
What was going on up there? You said it was like basic training. Were they training guys?
Training, weapons training, survival training, you know.
Was he building his own army, so to speak?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
But the discovery of corpses buried on the Rouleau farm ended Ryan's training and started his much-talked-about murder case. Father and son are going on trial for murder in Omaha.
And Julie Cornell is here now to chat with me about some of these stories, and there have been some of them interesting.
Well, you've had 3 decades of covering stories, and the depth and breadth of your stories is incredible.
Thanks.
And we're going to miss you. But just to look at your complete body of work is really, really impressive.
Thanks. Now that one.
Why did that one stick with you? It's bizarre.
It is bizarre, and one reason it stuck with me is I was right out of college, about a year or so out of college, and so it first came over as a child abduction report out of Kansas. Actually, a woman had abducted 5 of her own kids, and that came over the scanner, and the assignment editor said, "Are you interested in covering that?" And I said, "Sure, let's cover it." So I went down there. It was in Rouleau, and it turned out she was a member of the cult, and she brought her kids there. So it just snowballed from there, and it really shook the state.
You did interview the son, Dennis Ryan, in prison. What was that like?
Yeah, he'd gone to prison. He got 25 years to life, and then ended up getting tossed out. But when he was in prison, I sent him a series of letters, and I said, just curious what you thought, because he was a 15-year-old boy, right?
Sure.
When this happened.
He was pulled into it.
Pulled into it by his dad, and he was, pardon the graphic nature, but he was skinning people alive. I mean, it was just horrific. What he was doing, and then I just took a shot in the dark, and I said, "Hey, you want to talk about it?" And he said, "Yeah, come on out." So I talked to him, met him it was in one of the Lincoln prisons, and he basically said, "My dad ruined my life." And so later on, he said, basically, "I don't care if he dies, get rid of him, flush him down the toilet for all I care." Yeah.
How could you not forget that story? I mean, it's with you forever, right?
It absolutely is.
Another one that we survived together and worked through together, 9/11.
Oh, man.
What do you remember about that day?
Well, I mean, I remember first starting out, it happened in the morning, right? Early morning, we worked nightside. So I was in bed, and my wife woke me up after the second plane hit one of the World Trade Center. She said, "You probably got to get up for this." So I got up and then came into work. And what really struck me was how, besides just trying to wrap your brain around it, how the community really came together. You know, I mean, and you were there. I remember you were covering that very first day.
We were stationed with radio stations at a point, was it somewhere in Bellevue? And we were doing a collection of sorts, right?
Right.
We were bringing money and stuffed animals for some reason because we didn't know what else to do.
Right.
And we saw a plane fly over, and there weren't supposed to be any planes in the sky.
Right.
Who was it?
Yeah, we had a good idea, just based on my background in the military and others, that, hey, if there was a plane coming in, they may be coming into Offutt, and it may be the President of the United States. And so we actually can show you that story, because I went there actually a year later and to show you where he went.
Just before 2 o'clock. Good afternoon, I'm Rob McCartney in the KETV Newsplex. We are breaking in for a brief update on what's happening here in the heartland. Air Force One has landed at Offutt Air Force Base. President Bush is greeted by then Stratcom Chief Admiral Richard Meade. The president's entourage immediately heads to the underground. Now, our cameras are the first allowed to show you exactly where he went. Down a series of halls, through security checkpoints, to Stratcom's command center.
Where was the president in all this? The president sat in this seat right here. And Mr. Andrew Card sat next to him, the White House Chief of Staff. And I was in this seat next to Mr. Card.
The president is put on a telephone conference call with his senior staff while he gets briefed on the latest.
He utilized these screens, or we utilized these screens behind me to project all the information that we had at the time.
Information on the hijacked planes, on the status of all flights in American airspace, on American forces.
We were able to summarize all the reports we were receiving in that conference call I mentioned earlier.
And Donnelly says through it all, the president was all business.
He had to be all business. I mean, the nation's security was at risk, and it was happening in our front yard.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so enthralled with things that happen off it, because you have this huge section of land, so to speak, and a barbed wire fence, and people want to know, hey, what's going on inside there?
Sure.
And he was coming with Stratcom.
And you grew up in the military.
I did. Yeah, my dad was actually where the president went. My father was actually ran that back in the 70s. And so it's just, I want to let people know what happens behind the wire.
Right.
You know,
You went back 20 years later.
I did, and it was the building where he went was gutted. They actually Stratcom had moved across. You can see this is where they walked down the stairs, and that goes about down 3 or 4 flights down into where he was, and that was
Oh,
just
it's buried.
Oh,
Okay.
this is terrible,
Okay.
and this was just like exposed wires, and it was just terrible. 20 years later, and they've gutted that, and you can see the room. I mean, look at that.
Right.
This is terrible. But they fixed it all up, and now the 55th Wing now uses that as
Sure.
their headquarters.
Sure.
So.
Another tragedy that we both survived and reported on together, Von Maur, which just had an anniversary.
Oh, right, December 5th. That was, man, I mean, what a day that was, right? I mean, that was the day that President Bush, ironically, we were just talking about it, he was back in Omaha that morning. He was there to raise money, I think it was Mike Johan's Senate campaign. And so he had come in that morning, and everybody was focused on that. And then, I mean, and we were both called in, right?
Right. I was on the set. I was getting phone calls from people who were in dressing rooms at Von Maur wondering if it was safe to come out.
Oh, no.
Like teenage girls. So I'll never forget it.
What went through your head? I mean, when you hear this, I mean, that's
You know, you
not
worry
something-
about your kids,
Right.
you worry about, your friends and your family, because we're part of this community, right? So is there someone I know that's in there?
Right.
Is the threat over? Is it safe? And, your whole security is rocked, right?
Right, absolutely. And some of these images are just like embedded. I mean,
Yes.
we'll always remember this. They're bringing people out
Right.
of Von Maur. Remember when the people came out and their hands were up?
Yes.
And
They didn't know if the suspect was among them.
Right. Oh, there was one of the guys who was injured, walked
Right.
out. And we talked to a number of the people later on.
Follow their stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just remarkable. Later on, there would be snow, and there would be memorials there in the snow.
And remember the flowers piling up?
Oh, yeah, I do. It was, and I remember it was just such a tragic story because
That was a tough one.
Because it was a young man from Papillion, and it was just, man. I have cop friends who were among the first who went through.
I do too. Some that have
Yes.
investigated and
Yeah.
retold that story over and over again.
Talking about it's not PTSD, but it's close to it. It might be
Right.
PTSD for them.
It might be.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's some trauma there when you're part of that.
It was crazy.
I know that over the years you've really done a ton of work, and I've seen you weekly do it, but on Crime Stoppers. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, people often wonder, saying, do you have any impact on the community, right? And sometimes you're like, I don't know if I do or not. Unless you do a lot of stories with people that it's a cause and effect. You do something happens for the better. And when I'm doing my reports, I'm like, I don't know if it's any good. So that's one reason why I like Crime Stoppers, is because some of these people, it's like we just want our streets to be safe. So like, take for example this case. This is just, would be a typical crime of the week, right? I take video, the surveillance video, what's going to happen. They're looking for people. I slow it down, zoom in, try to clarify the video, and then the police then will say, all right, they'll tell me this is who we're looking for, and I'll say, okay, explain the case to me, and they do, and then we run it, and then sometimes sometimes there is cause
Many
and
times.
effect.
Many
Yeah.
times they catch someone.
Yeah, they do. We actually have one of the best Crime Stoppers programs in the country. And so
Well, that's because you've been a part of it, and you've driven that every single week. What do you have this week? What do you have, right?
you've heard me on the phone.
Right, oh yes. Some other difficult things. We've covered more cop funerals together than I care to ever touch again. I don't want to ever cover another one, but at least 3 together, right?
Right. I mean, obviously, Carrie Orozco was one of the most recent. That was terrible. I mean, this is a young mom. She was 29, I think, and she had put off her maternity leave. That's her family you're seeing right there, the little baby. The baby was actually in the NICU, but little Olivia was getting stronger, so Carrie was going to go on maternity leave the next day. When she answered the call, they were trying to track down
I think it was a warrant, right?
It was a warrant, a gang guy who they knew, and it was dangerous, and she took a shot. It was just right above her vest, just freak shot, and it killed her. Yeah, that was terrible.
Ty Pratt, Jimmy Wilson Jr.
Yeah, Ty Pratt, Jason Pratt. His was on the anniversary. He was shot on the anniversary, 2-year anniversary of 9/11.
That's right.
Yeah, and then he hung on for a little over a week before he died, and I had the honor to interview his wife, his widow, and his daughters a few years later, and the legacy they leave.
It's always hard.
Yeah.
Well, we have more to talk about this morning.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to talk about Rob's interview with then President Barack Obama.
But I think folks in Nebraska, like all across the country,